Tina, aka Chris.
Autism sprinter, think equity. Yeah. It's time to give the power back to the people. We're fighting to make our beliefs equal. Look at the failed policies and how they treat you. We got strength, yeah, we're far from feeble. This is for anyone with autism or a disability. Time to unite, show them how strong our will can be. Move readily, we're promoting equity. A non-profit platform, that's the recipe. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. Now throw your hands up, we finally got a winner. Think equity with Autism Sprinter. It's time to make a change. It's time to stand up for what we believe in. Equality and equity across the board. No matter your race, nation, or creed, disability, or your needs. Yes, it gotta be equal. It gotta be right.
What's up, guys? How are you? My name is Yaharia Lopez, the founder of Autism Sprinter. So, welcome to our Tuesday night chats, y'all. Continuing promoting the work of autism acceptance, because as we continue to tell you guys here in Autism Sprinter, we focus on the theme of autism acceptance. We believe that if we do not accept people who are different than us, then awareness doesn't mean anything, right? Because we have to accept one another for who we are, the different languages we speak, the different skin colors that we have, all of that. So acceptance is critical for us, especially in autism. So without further ado, I would love to introduce to you someone who I think is super inspirational. Someone who's an adult who has autism, and most importantly, someone who started an organization, right, giving back to his community. So I would like to introduce to you Chris Hall, who is the CEO and founder of a home operated organization named Computers for the Autistic Foundation, which provides those children with autism to have a PC or laptop that is refurbished. And again, I can't talk about his organization. He can talk all about it. So we're going to bring Chris in, y'all. Chris, what's
Hello.
up? How are you?
I'm good. How are you? How you doing?
I'm doing good. So I'm excited to have you because
Thank
that
you.
Autism Sprinter is one of your biggest supporters. We stay sharing your stuff and we stay referring people to you. So, I introduced you a little bit. Introduce yourself. Tell us about your org.
Yeah. Hey everybody, what's going on? My name is Chris Hall, and I own an organization known as Computers for the Autistic Foundation. It is a home-operated, like hobby-based organization that refurbishes old computers, and we donate them to children with autism and other disabilities. Just a disclaimer: I'm not a 501c or anything. I just do this for the fun of it and to be able to have a little bit of a living on my own, because this is what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I really enjoy trying to help people in the community as much as I possibly can. So
That's right. So, what made you want to start Computers for the Autistic Foundation?
So what really got it started was I found out back in the 90s that UMass Dartmouth was doing a computer donation program for those with disabilities, like older, like the Apple Macs and like the PCs from like Windows 98 PCs. And I actually received a Mac computer. I think it was like a Mac Classic or something as a kid, to be able to play on it and keep myself occupied. So when I kind of found out about that, I kind of dug into actually wanting to try and helping other kids out who needed a computer for school, because a lot of times families can't afford a computer just for their kid to have. You know, a lot of kids are very tech savvy today too, so you know, being able to donate older computers that could still be used can definitely change a kid's life, because it definitely changed mine. Because when I was in high school and everything else, I was trying to actually open up my own computer shop, which back in the day I called it the PC Pit Stop, which was something I started with my other friend, whose name was Melanie, and that really didn't like go into position. That didn't really happen, but it was in 2012 that I kind of decided, you know what, I need to kind of mix the two together, and that's kind of what started the Computers for the Autistic Foundation.
Nice. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to get into it, right, Chris? Because, you know, as a parent, and you know, I've always told you this, and there's many times that I reached out to you to ask questions. And I wanna publicly say that you're one of the major reasons why I have changed the way that I've dealt with my son. Because hearing you speak about your journey in autism and navigating special education, and I will never forget when you're just like, I hated being in therapies all the time. Like I just wanted to kind of be in the parks, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it just made me feel like, wow, like I just want my son to enjoy life. I want my son to enjoy the parks, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you made me think about things that I honestly did not think about as a parent, because I always thought that I had to keep my son in therapies after therapies and sign him up for everything,
Yeah.
special needs and all this other stuff. And I never thought about him just being an individual. And if this is something that he wanted it to continuously do, as someone who's verbal, right?
Yeah.
It might be, the situation might be different for those that are nonverbal. So I'm speaking from someone who is, you know, verbal.
Mm-hmm.
At what age were you diagnosed with autism, if you remember?
I was diagnosed with autism, well, Asperger's at the time, around like 12. What really started the initial process for me to get diagnosed was I actually had like an enlargement in the back of my skull, which was like an empty air pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my mom that I had this weird bump at the back of my head. I didn't know what it was. So they were doing the x-rays and everything to kind of examine what was going on. So kind of that's what kind of stepped into, you know, he should be tested for autism. And
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of what started the entire thing, was that thing. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So in your journey,
mm-hmm.
because I know that you lived in this, you know, you grew up around the community that I'm in.
Yeah.
What was your journey like navigating special education and services? Let's start with special education. Like, what was your journey like?
It was hard. Um, this was during the times where, you know, autism really wasn't accepted like it is now. You know, I was brought upon the topics and stuff of, you know, if you have a meltdown or something like that, you get a consequence.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you act out in any way, something's bad's going to happen to you. And, you know, that's something that would terrify any young child. Um, you know, I grew up in the times where children used to be physically restrained by teachers and, you know, shoved into quiet rooms, and that was just a horrific nightmare of, you know, having 3 teachers 3 times bigger than you holding you down at the age of 8 years old.
It's traumatic.
Yeah.
That,
I still have some PTSD stuff
yep.
from that, sadly, and and even today I have some PTSD when it comes to people yelling at me and stuff. I can't handle being yelled at. I just completely shut down, and it's very severe, and I've actually developed a lot of medical issues, like internally, because of everything that I had to go through, from taking all types of medications and having other stuff that happened to me before. So,
Wow.
it's hard.
It's and I'm glad that you're talking about that. So in the well, moving past special education,
Mhm.
how often were you, as someone with autism or Asperger's, right? Someone with Asperger's, how often were you in therapies? If you
I was
remember
in therapy. I was in therapy quite a lot.
from.
I used to have to go to a psychiatrist. I used to have to go to a therapist. And almost every 6 months, I used to have to be admitted to Kearney Hospital or Westwood Lodge and all types of other places, because they kept putting me on the wrong medications, and they kept, doing all of these experiments to try to get me to be normal on all these different types of pills. And I very well remember, like, almost all the times that I actually had to going through all those groups and stuff. It was not fun.
Mm-hmm.
The last time that I actually ever admitted myself to rehab was about maybe 2 years ago, and that was the first time in over 5 years that I actually went to rehab because of my autism stuff. So
Wow, wow, that's deep. Do you feel that a lot of these people, while you was navigating these, as they would say, resources, right? These
yeah,
forms of therapy. I'm gonna do air quotes, right?
yeah, air
Uh,
quotes. Yeah, don't mind
no,
me. I'm just grabbing the water.
no, not a problem, not a problem. So, do you feel that while you were navigating these forms of therapeutic services, do you feel that they really, and I think you touched upon it a little bit, do you really think they understand autism
No,
from an autistic's
no,
perspective?
no, they do not.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is what I tell people, especially in the autistic community. If you do not have autism, or if you have not lived with somebody with autism, do not think that you know people with autism. You know what I mean? That's the thing that people need to understand, especially from somebody who is autistic, is that autism has every autism comes in every shape and form. Doesn't matter, if it's severe or not. There are so many things that go on with those with autism, and a lot of people do struggle with it. So it's a very deep conversation.
Mm.
I listen to Chris speak, and I feel like I listen to my son. Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So, well, Aratansa, I'm hoping I said your name right. He's one of our favorite people. When I first met Chris, Chris is again one of the reasons why I've been thinking so differently in moving in the space of autism and how to work with my son. He's also one of the reasons why, you know, who has taught me about other different perspectives in the autism community, and we're going to kind of talk about that too. So how do you feel, and I want to ask this because I think every autistic person answers this, and I want parents, again, this is no disclaimer, parents, you do what you feel is right for your family.
Mhm.
We're Chris and I are just having open conversations because I want to ensure that we are truly listening to those with autism, especially those that have the ability to be verbal and verbalize their feelings and what they feel, whether we understand it or not. How do you feel about ABA?
ABA can be used very well. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I work with ABA therapy organizations, like Alternatives ABA,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that, with the right treatments and the right people who take part in doing ABA therapy. I believe a child's future could be changed for the better, as well as occupational therapy. Like back in the day when I was a kid, there was no such thing as ABA therapy, but there was such thing as occupational therapy. And for years, I used to have a hard time actually tying my shoes. I had a hard time saying certain words, and I actually couldn't speak until the age of 7. So I believe that ABA therapy, OT, for the and physical therapy, any type of therapy that introduces hands-on experiences for those with autism is the best way to do it. Sitting down and just talking about stuff is not the way to do things with those with autism. It's more you have to have a hands-on approach and hands-on experiences in order to better understand how a child with autism can act in the future. So that's kind of what my opinions on ABA therapy is.
Okay, that's good because I love that you're being honest about that because every autistic person is different. So I know in this autistic community, there's a lot of conversations of those that feel ABA is not helpful, and there's a lot of
It
things.
really depends. It really depends on how severe the autism is. For those who don't know this, autism, they changed the standardized meanings for autism. It used to be PDD, Asperger's, and autism. They no longer associate PDD and Asperger's along with autism. It's low, medium, and high functioning autism now. And people need to know that there are different levels of that. There are those who can be low functioning. There could be people that are low and medium functioning, or medium or high functioning. There are huge, significant amounts of levels of things with autism that people need to actually realize, and everything has to be treated in different ways when it comes to that.
I like that. I like that because I remember, as starting as a new organization coming out, and we were on Twitter and we've been on different social media sites like often, especially around this time of the month, man. Like we'll get the big heavy duty autistic community that doesn't believe in the blue and they don't believe in the puzzle.
It's
And then, man, Chris, they've made some comments on my social media, and there's times that, like, literally, this is the reason why we've kind of rebranded with the puzzle piece and all that stuff because we're like, okay, listen, we're listening. We stand in solidarity with those that are autistic, and we stand with you. We don't get into
there's lots of there are a lot of controversies with I've had some people talk to me about the whole puzzle piece conversation, and not a lot of people know that the puzzle piece was not originally a part of Autism Speaks. It was a UK organization in 1969 that started using the puzzle piece, but it was not blue, it was multicolor. And actually on VRChat, I actually have an avatar that has a multicolored puzzle piece sweatshirt because of that. It's so that and I do go around and I talk about autism awareness on there, and try to get people in that community started. But it's so I don't offend people. Like I use both the puzzle piece and I use the infinity symbol as well.
Let's see what we're getting here. It says, I think with any therapy, the goals are important and the parents need to be hands-on with working with the therapist to carry over strategies. Absolutely.
Oh, I got a comment on mine too. My friends over on VR Chatter or saying something on Twitch. Oh, thanks, Bucket and Cherub. I appreciate it.
So tell them say we say hi from the other side.
Yeah.
But yeah, so how has it been for you navigating jobs, right? Do you
So,
go ahead?
so employment is a very difficult thing for people with autism, and people really need to realize that not every autistic person has the chance to go into like postgraduate programs. You know,
Mm-hmm.
not everybody is capable of doing that. Like for me, for example, I had to deal with courts and stuff as a kid, so like I wasn't allowed to like actually be in school for a while, and I never got the opportunities to go through the ability to join postgraduate programs.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, like I have worked two jobs in my whole life, like actual jobs with W-2s and stuff. And the first one, unfortunately, I worked there. I actually worked alongside with Road to Responsibility and Mass Rehab. And a month later, I got fired and I got discriminated for that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was told during my termination I had a hard time listening, and they were notified that I had autism, and they knew that I had difficulties with certain aspects, and they were expecting me to do everything as a sales associate. And I told them, listen, there are certain things that I'm not capable of doing. For example, I actually have lumbar disc disease, and I also have scoliosis. So lifting very heavy items is very hard for me to do. And they wanted me to pick up rugs and carry heavy boxes and stuff. I'm just like, I can't do this. And I also have a difficulty time walking because of all the medications that I was on. And I used to literally have to sit in one of those inventory chairs just to roll around and do my job because I couldn't stand up for long periods of time. And then the second job that I had was being a PCA, and that I had no problem doing that. I was a personal care assistant for a disabled person who I am still friends with, and anytime she actually needs me to come over and do something, that if somebody's not gonna come in, I'll just go over there and do it for her for free. I don't care because she's my friend. But like, I left that position because SSI was telling me I was making too much money, and I had to stop doing the job because I was going to lose my benefits from that. So, and that's kind of also a huge fear for people with autism who are on SSI, to lose their ability to pay for rent and stuff. Like I have such a hard time doing that. Like after I pay my rent and everything else, I have like $14 to my name, and that's why, along with the Computers for the Autistic Foundation, I do sell computers that are higher ranges and stuff, so that I can at least have money to go to the store and get stuff that I need. It's difficult to actually be employed being autistic, so that's kind of why I do what I'm doing here, because I like doing this. It gives me the ability to work when I need to. Like if my other issues are bringing me down and I'm not able to do what I'm supposed to do that day, I can say, oh, I can do it later.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to actually work with everything that I have, including the autism.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, you touch upon something that's very important, because I think that oftentimes people don't understand that not everyone that has autism lives in subsidized or affordable housing. There are individuals who rent rooms,
Yeah.
or things like that. And so, whatever they get monthly and, SSDI payments, it goes towards rooming houses or wherever the individual lives. And I think that, we have to talk about, that in a sense where
Yeah.
isn't enough housing opportunities for people
No,
that
there isn't. Section 8, for example. I've been on Section 8 for over 10 years, and I still have not gotten any vouchers for that. Um, it's like last year, I almost got something, but they told me now I have to wait another 10 years, and I'm on the elderly disabled list, and that list does not move until somebody dies, and it's very difficult to um, have to go through the housing process. Like I've lived in so many people's houses, and where I'm living now, actually, I was hoping to stay here for a long time, but unfortunately, due to events that are out of my control, I have until September to find another place to live. So, um, I'm sad that I'm going to be leaving here because this is the first time in over 5 years that I've actually been fully like on my own, independent.
Wow.
Without my friend's family being there to help me through stuff. So, kind of, it's you know stressful.
Yeah, yeah. But at least you're talking about it, Chris, right? Because I think that a lot of the work that we do in Autism Sprinter, we're always holding elected officials and doing,
Yeah.
civic work and having conversations that those that represent people like you and I
Mm-hmm.
understand and hear those that are having the lived experience, right? They
Right.
understand it, live in it, and they understand it more than anybody else. So, thank you for being truthful about that.
No,
And
the thing is like you can't like put like trying to think what I'm gonna say. You can't put it through a fine needle. Okay,
mm,
you have to be as blunt as possible when it comes to these kind of things, because if you don't, things are never gonna change. You know, putting up with what autistic people go through is very difficult, and not a lot of people realize how hard and difficult having autism can be. If somebody was to put themselves in my shoes, they would hate it.
yeah,
And that's something that needs to be said to people, where you know your kid's going to end up being an awesome person. You just have to guide them through that in the right way. you know as a kid, for me, I had to deal with a father who never understood autism, and a mother who did not understand autism at the time. And I had everything possibly done to me abusively: verbal, physical, torment, everything. And I'm honestly gonna say that my father physically hurt me because I couldn't do something that he wanted me to do, and he still rides my ass about. No, I'm dead serious about this. He rides my ass about not
I'm not
being.
sword. I was like, okay, yes.
No, he rides on me about not being employed. Um, he's dictated to me that if I don't have a W-2, if I don't have 5 W-2s, I lose my inheritance. He keeps telling me, you need to get a real job. You need to start paying taxes. You need to stop being on SSI. He pushes me constantly, and he did that over Easter, and he does that every time I see him, and that's why I'm not really around him. My mother, on the other hand, my mom's proud of me as hell for all the work that I do, all the accomplishments that I've ever done. She's supportive, and she knows that I'm trying my hardest to do stuff. And at least I have my mother, and I at least have the rest of my family who know that like I actually am trying. It's just one step at a time for me, and those steps are slow, but it's very difficult to deal with sometimes.
And you know what? In and that I'm happy that you said that, because I do think that as parents, sometimes we often push our children Because
So
we
push.
want to normalize them, right? Especially
Yeah.
those children that are verbal.
Yeah.
We feel like, oh, you can talk, you can, you can try to
No,
make that.
that's not it. Okay, okay.
That's not it, right?
Well, the thing is, okay, does not matter if that child can speak. Does not matter. Okay, they still, like, neurologically cannot handle certain situations. I have to deal with so many things, like when there are so many people talking in a room, especially when I play my game, or like when I'm around other people, I get overwhelmed. I get super just I'm just and another thing that I do, and I do apologize for this if anybody does hear this. I actually make like a weird high pitched hum that I cannot hear, but everybody else hears. That is actually a part of my speech problem. That's a part of a speech impediment that I have zero control over. The only time I ever hear it is when I hear myself talk. So I do apologize to anybody who does hear that pitch. Like, I cannot hear it, but the microphones do. So, and another thing as well is, like, when I'm actually talking, I'm actually not breathing. And it's very difficult for me to breathe as I'm talking.
And these are the things that we don't hear enough from people. And I appreciate that you're being so authentic and real about this, because again, we don't talk enough about the disability part and talking to people with a disability.
Yeah.
I feel like we're always, putting the people with all these fancy acronyms behind their last name as always being like they know everything. And, I get it. They're doctors. They went to school for it, and they probably know. But I'm a person to believe the people that are living it are equally as experts too, right? You have the PhD. You have all the degrees,
no,
right?
That's the thing. And I've had this conversation with a couple of people in VR chat and everything else. You do not have to have a degree to understand autism. If you have autism, you understand it. I meet so many people that do have autism, and they tell me what they deal with and struggle with in real life and in game, and
sorry,
it's a difficult thing to deal with sometimes. Not enough people know that it's easy for you guys to get out of bed every morning, but for somebody like me, it's super difficult. Sometimes I don't even want to get out of bed and do stuff because I have almost like the lack of motivation to do anything. But at the same time, there are days where I feel awesome and I'm out there doing stuff, but it's a hit and miss kind of thing where it could be good or it could be bad. And people don't understand that.
And I appreciate that. So I'm going to ask you a question, right? Because you're an adult, you speak, right? How easy is it for you? Well, it's a two-part question.
Yeah.
One, how easy or difficult is your life maintaining relationships as far as friendships on one part, and also relationships as a significant
romantic.
Yep.
So friendships are hit and miss. I get along with people that are a lot like myself, and I have a lot of friends. I've made a lot of friends in the cycling community, and topics that I relate to. Relationship wise, not great. I just found out I'm actually pansexual, which means I prefer somebody's personality over their gender. And to kind of put it into perspective, like, I care about that person's personality over if they're male or female. I don't care. I want to just enjoy my time with that individual, and a lot of that kind of stuff I do in VR chat is like I do spend time with people that I do like that way
Yeah.
in VR chat over than in real life because of everything going on in the world right now. It definitely makes a huge difference being able to go on there and doing stuff than it is in real life, because in real life it's just difficult.
Yeah, it is. And let me tell you, it's relationships are an interesting, whether it's
Yeah.
significant other or just in friendships. They're very hard to maintain, especially when
So
you know.
with relationships, I do have to talk about this. And this is actually a big topic. Um, where unfortunately and this goes back to special education, if there are not enough children in a special ed program have with a high IQ or maturity level, they will not provide sexual education
Mhm.
to those children because there are too many of them that are immature to learn about the bees and the birds. You know what I mean? The birds and the bees. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, that leads to a whole other topic, which I'm not going to go into.
Oh,
In parents, you guys could probably know where I'm going with this. And unfortunately, if kids aren't taught these things, they're going to end up not having a good life at all because they're not learning the proper social cues to have intimacy with another person.
yep,
Their sexuality gets confused. Who they're attracted to gets very confused.
yep.
And, you know, that's something that needs to happen. I don't care. Sexual education has to happen no matter what.
Yeah.
Because I don't care how immature that kid is. He or she still needs to learn about it. You know, even if parents don't want it to happen, it needs to happen to have their child have a relationship in the future. You know, like I had a little bit of it, but because all of my classmates were very underdeveloped and immature, I had to stop going to those classes because the teachers did not want to have to deal with the immaturity that the kids were going through. And thankfully, now I realize what I am. You know, I have not dated a person in real life for over 10 years because of the social cues that I was not able to learn. But I kind of not want that. I kind of want to just be here and just do my own thing.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And I mean, you've touched upon a lot of important things. And I'll ask you, one last question. How has anyone ever made you feel? And these is part of some of the questions you brought up.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever made you feel like you're not important because you have a disability?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's like again, my father thinks that I can do all of these things and work with other people and stuff because I do this stuff that I'm doing in the autistic community. No, that's not it. That's it's harder to do those type of interactions with people on a day-to-day basis. I don't mind sitting behind this screen and doing my job, for the foundation and for the bike shop stuff that I do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's stuff that I'm able to handle. But for me to actually be around a lot of people and having to walk around and do stuff, I can't do that. It's impossible. It's hard. It's painful for me to do it. It really makes it difficult for me to be able to um, go through the day and get everything done all at once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you kind of still struggle with the processing part. It
Yeah, I
sounds.
still am. Like I'm actually having a hard time processing all of this right now. Like my head's spinning like crazy, It's just I'm actually on new antidepressants, so I'm still kind of getting used to it, and it's the first time that I've been on medications in over 10 years, so it's a new adjustment.
Yeah, don't worry, you're doing good, and trust me that we have a really good group of people who stand with you, Chris, and this message is going to resonate very deeply with a lot of the people. And I want to close this out because I don't want to take too much of your time.
You can talk to me as long as you want. I don't mind.
No, that's okay. Um, we'll end with this. What advice can you give parents like myself about raising a child with autism?
Get them in the stuff that they enjoy. Don't take
Mm.
away the things that they enjoy, because it's not worth it in the end. You know, the reasons why I say this is because as a child, um, a lot of people, a lot of people know me because I like Thomas the Tank Engine. Okay, as a child, I actually was not allowed to have this
Mm.
because my parents thought that I had an OCD problem with
Mm.
this, and literally, if I said the word train, I'd get punished. You know, you know, always let your child enjoy the things that they have, and try to introduce them into hands-on experiences. I always recommend model trains to people, especially those with autism, because Thomas and autism are like a huge thing. Um, you know, try and be as positive as you can with your children. You know, even if it's a bad day, talk to them like you would any other person, because talking down to anybody with autism does nothing but cause consequences. You know what I mean? It's a hit or miss situation where you know you give a consequence. What's that going to do? It's not going to do anything but hurt them even more, and it's going to bring back memories that will stick with them like glue. Like, I remember every single punishment that I've ever received as a child because of my PTSD, and I need to tell you guys, be as positive as you can. And one word of advice that I tell everybody is take the negatives and turn them towards a positive.
Mhm.
Because you take that negativity and you turn it towards a positive, you will have a better outcome than you would negative on negative. If they're flipping out and you're trying to induce a negative consequence, that's just going to make them do it again. That's something that you can't allow to happen. You need to make sure what you're doing is positive. That way they understand. And also, talking with a neutral tone is so much better than screaming.
Mhm.
Having a neutral speaking tone allows them to clearly understand what you're trying to show them, and showing them exactly what to do first and letting them watch you do that thing will allow them to do it and follow what you're doing. Instead, don't tell them, oh, just go take the trash out. No, show them how to take the trash out. Show them how to tie it. Show them how to open the lid. That way, they get that routine into their daily or weekly thing, and they're able to do it on their own. And that's something that I've had to learn on my own. And I've had people that still teach me stuff. Like, anytime I'm fixing my bikes or anything, I watch my friend do it, and then I do it. That's something that happens all the time, and that's what people need to do with their kids, and that's what I definitely think should happen.
Wow, that's a lot, y'all. So, Chris, I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, not a
Uh,
problem.
thank you for all the work that you do. And if anyone wants to reach out to your org to solicit a solicit, or ask for help for a laptop, where can they find you?
Well, they can come. They can come find us on Facebook. We have Instagram as well. We do have a Twitter as well. You guys can always give me a phone call as well, and just remember that I'm still trying to get stuff done with all of the other projects that I'm doing, but I will try to help as many people as possible. We do have limited range on where we're able to donate to because if Yaharia never mentioned it, I do drive eco-friendly electric bicycles known as organic transit elves, which I'm actually owner of 5. I have,
Well,
I have the most in the country, and I do drive up to Boston every so often, so I kind of cover the South Shore and Boston area, and like the down towards Carver. So, I've never gone out west before, but I do cover the Boston area though.
so I know that you've shared and updated some of your application process. You want to tell us a little bit of what changes or what
So,
updates?
just to let everybody know, last year I decided to eradicate my sign up system because of COVID. So I used to have to go through people used to have to go through mailing me a sign up form and like proof of disability such as like an IEP or a doctor's diagnosis and stuff. And I kind of decided this year to experiment to see if more people would want to have a donation given to them. And the only requirements for a donation are is that you do a pickup appointment time or a delivery time depending on the weather. The child has to be with you. That's my number one thing is the child has to be with you when they receive their donation because so that I know that child is actually autistic, and so because I'm able to know if that child has autism or not. Also, we do ask that because we have the organic transit elves, the kids love taking rides in it and all that other stuff. So we do like to do photo ups with the kids with their computers to show people in the community that we are actually providing computers to children. It's our proof to our providers that we are continuing to donate because we work with several computer shops in the local area that always give us computers to put into our inventory. So that allows us to continue what we're doing, with both donations and sales. And people can also help out by checking out our sales too, because I do sell computers to try to help with new projects that are coming up with the elves or computer projects or other things that would help down the road for the organization. So you can check them all out on like Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. If you ever see anything that says Computers for the Autistic Foundation, that's me. So
All right. Well, guys, you heard it here. If you want to connect with Chris, please follow all his social media platforms at Computers for the Autistic Foundation. As you can see, he has abbreviated, so you can look at CFTAF, which is shortened for the Computers for the Autistic Foundation. His email address is Hall, HALL, Chris, CHRIS 14 at gmail.com. So if you want to get in contact with him and you have any follow-up questions, he also often goes live on his social media platforms just to kind of talk about his work and actually show videos of him doing his work and his amazing, trains stuff, and follow him. You'll learn a lot. So, Chris, thank you so much.
not
It
a
was
problem.
good to have you.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'm really glad that I was able to come on and talk to you guys. And be sure to spread awareness this month. Be sure to share, autism acceptance to all of those around you. And, be sure to share this video with anybody who you feel could benefit from hearing from an autistic person. And, I really think a lot of people, and I hope a lot of people know that, there is hope in the world for people with autism. And I hope that every child with autism gets a chance to have a better future.
All right, guys. See you later.
See you guys. Peace out. Talk to you later.